Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this 1 hour with me. Shannon, my producer excelente, how are you doing today, my dear?
I'm doing great. It feels wonderful out there. Thank goodness for cold fronts in Texas.
Oh, it is kind of cool out there.
Well, I'll just call it a cool front. How about that?
Yes,
because it's definitely not cold.
It's not cold if not for you. I mean,
but yes, and we can count our blessings except for the breaking news today.
Oh, tell me a little bit about the breaking news.
Well, the House just passed the AHCA about an hour ago.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a shock. So we'll see.
It's a sad shock,
next.
but you know what? Given that we're going to talk a whole lot about that during the show, so I'm not going to get there yet. So let's just say this. How was your weekend?
I had a great weekend. I got to visit Austin.
That's
beautiful city.
Yes.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I know you love that city yourself.
That's my town. I spent 4 years in that town.
Yes. I'm sure you went and visited your daughter quite often.
I visited my daughter quite often in that town, too. I love Austin. I love the vibe. I'm weird, so I like the weirdness of Austin. What can I say?
Well, so is Montrose. I think
That's
they match
true.
each other up pretty well.
Maybe that's why I ended up in Montrose, too.
Whoa, mind-blowing. But yes, there's a lot going on. I'm glad we have a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, we really need to talk about it because these are some very dangerous times. So anyhow, let's kind of get busy with the program. And it goes as follows, folks. Look, welcome to the past. Welcome to the past. Are we really ready to go back to the healthcare we had before? Most will answer what? No, right? What would you answer?
I have to say no.
No.
Blast from the past.
Thank you. But Republicans do not care about the wants of most. They have no problem serving the wealthy while leaving the rest to fend for themselves, even as they pilfer them methodically. But folks, where do we go from here? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a whole lot about that. But anyhow, before I get there, I want to give a shout out to the Humble ISD parents in Humble, Atascocita, Kingwood, Summerwood, Fall Creek, and all those surrounding communities. They are fighting Goliath as they try to make the Humble ISD board a more parent and public education-centric board. Later on, we will hear from one of their representatives. But before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Babawi. That's on Mondays at 7 p.m.
Then we have Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig, Mondays at 9 p.m.
Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg, but you'll be filling in for Jeff tomorrow.
Yes,
That's
I fill in for Jeff
Friday.
Berg tomorrow on Fridays at
3 p.m.
There you go. And then we have Open Journal.
That is every weekday morning at 8 a.m. with Dwayne Bradley, Marlo Blue, and Hetty Van Bagel. That is every weekday morning, as I said, at 8 a.m. So check it out.
It's a great show, guys. And then, of course, we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz is the very best, hosted by
Juan Flores every Friday at 10 p.m.
There you go. And actually,
Every
Mondays.
Monday. Did I say Friday?
Yeah,
My
Mondays
goodness.
at 10 p.m. Yeah. And then we have The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by The Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne. at 4 p.m. on Fridays at KPFT, the HD3 side. Folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics and medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by the corporatocracy. This is KPFT 90.1 FM, Texas, in Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. Please remember, follow Egberto Willies, hashtag politics done right. But folks, do you have any idea what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Of course, by now you've heard that our wonderful Congress in the great capital of our country, Washington, D.C., has passed the Affordable Health Care Act. And in the process, if that were to go through, would leave over 24 million additional Americans uninsured. It will remove pre-existing condition care from millions of Americans, and on and on and on. So the people, I did a study I didn't do the study, I read the study a few years ago, or rather a few weeks ago, that specifically stated the people that will be most impacted by this bill, by the AHCA, are those same voters who voted for Donald Trump. So this is going to be one interesting scenario, because the people that will be hurt the most won't be the voters that are fighting like hell to keep a humane healthcare system alive, but the people that will be hurt the most, irrespective of the lie that they're telling you on TV. Because again, let me read the blog of the week, because it tells quite a bit of the story. Trump Care is the past insurance orthodoxy that bankrupted and killed many. The Republican Obamacare replacement bill, the AHCA, is not a health insurance bill. It is a tax cut bill with a health care facade. The bill will kill. The Republican leadership required an early vote to ensure that they codified it before the entire bill got dissected, before Americans learned how bad it is, before the CBO had the opportunity to score it. That is a fact. Republicans are asking Americans to believe an impossibility. First, they want you to believe that throwing all sick people into one high-risk pool will cost the sick people no more than it cost them when those costs were spread out among all Americans in Obamacare. Second, they want you to believe that even as drug prices, costs of tests, etc. continue to rise, that somehow removing about $1 trillion from health care will lower prices and provide better care. Third, they want you to believe that removing the minimum requirements every insurance policy have under Obamacare is advantageous to the customer. They're asking a whole lot for you to believe. They're asking you to lie to yourselves. They're asking you to look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, am I a fool or am I not a fool? You believe what they're selling. The answer is self-evident. High-risk pools, Paul Ryan said several times, when you have a risk pool that covers the catastrophic cost of people with catastrophic illnesses, the rest of the insurance pool don't have to pay those costs. So by directly helping people, support people who have pre-existing conditions with the catastrophic costs, all other insurance products don't have to price that into their insurance, and you dramatically stabilize and lower the price of insurance. So says Paul Ryan. It's the most asinine statement I think I have heard to date. And why is it an asinine statement, my friends? And I try to be nice, but this is an asinine statement. And let me go a little further. Here's what Paul is saying. Within his Obamacare replacement, insurance companies will no longer have the burden of insuring those with pre-existing conditions. Instead, high-risk pools will be set up for the millions with pre-existing conditions. This defies logic. If you put all the sick or likely to be sick people in one pool, then you do not spread the risk between healthy and unhealthy people, and it costs much more for every individual within that high-risk pool. Insurance companies can make more profits because they insure mostly healthy people. In effect, Paul Ryan is picking winners and losers. The health insurance companies win. People with pre-existing conditions will lose as their rates skyrocket. The American people lose. Why? We will all pay premiums to the insurance companies, and some of the taxes we pay will subsidize the high-risk pools. In other words, in the end, the American people pay to ensure health insurance companies are always profitable, and CEOs and other executives can maintain their inordinate, unearned salaries. We must not be fooled. Health insurance, and specifically high-risk pools, are giveaways to corporations, and they are doing so as they put our health and ultimately our lives at risk. Let me get off the script a little bit to just mention something else. What I'm trying to explain here is the following, folks, and this is very serious. They're taking $1 trillion out. They're creating high-risk pools. They're giving a lot of wealthy people that money that they're not sending back to healthcare. And at the same time, they're asking every single American to pay more so that they can have high-risk pools, so that in as much as those people in the high-risk pools pay more money, they also ask Americans to pay more taxes to subsidize the risk pools. So here it is again, transfer of wealth from those who least can afford to those who already have. Money's flowing from the middle class, the taxpayer, to the wealthy as they cut your services. In effect, they cut your throat. Many suggest that Trump Care, AHCA, is nothing more than a tax cut bill disguised as Obamacare replacement. That is absolutely true. In fact, that is why Trump desperately needs to pass it in hopes of providing a tax cut windfall for the wealthy. To do that, he has to lie to Americans by telling them that cutting about $1 trillion from healthcare could actually make it better. We all know that the trajectory of drug costs and healthcare services is always up. There's no way to get efficiencies that justify removing monies from healthcare by repealing the Obamacare taxes necessary to pay for it. Trump and Ryan think so little about the American intellect that they believe most will buy that fallacy. In other words, Paul Ryan, Donald Trump, look at their voters and say, folks, we understand that you are intellectually deficient. You do not have much upstairs. That is what they're telling you. The question is whether you buy it. The question is whether you let them get away with it. Trump voter, I hope you're listening. I hope you are listening. These are hard numbers, hard facts, and what they're selling you is a wish, is a star, is something that isn't true. Remember the days when women paid more than men for insurance? What about the The days when insurance companies could say something was a pre-existing condition at the time of service to decline to pay your medical bill? Remember the days when there was no maximum out-of-pocket expenses for your medical expenses? Remember those cheap policies that gave you a sense of security until you needed to use it the very first time? The very first time you realize, oh my God, I really do not have insurance. I really wasted my money. I really do not have insurance. Well, folks, if the AHCA becomes law, guess what? Those bad old days, they are back. Those bad old days will be back again. There is no doubt, my dear friends. Look, I don't have personally a whole lot of, well, all of us have skin in the game. I shouldn't really say that. We all have skin in the game. But there are a lot of people, the people that we're fighting for here, they so badly cannot afford this stuff to go through, folks. They're hurting, and a lot of times they don't think they have reps. And I'm speaking to you two Trump supporters, and speaking to you two Republican voter, because when we get sick, it really doesn't matter who you are, what party you are. Sickness knows nothing about party. This is about your health and your life. This is about people who are evil enough, and I don't use that word lightly. People who are evil enough, people who should know better. Not should know better, people who know better. Who know what they're about to do is put your life at risk, your finances at risk. They know it. But for ideological reason and to support their masters, the plutocracy, they are willing to let you pay with your life, with your health, with your wealth. That is what the current party who went ahead and passed that bill today decided to do. They put your head on the block to be chopped. And I am not being, this is not over the top. Because when it comes to the life of my fellow families, my friends, my citizens, my Americans, my folks in this country, when it comes to the life of people, I don't play. We don't play. We take this very, very, very seriously. And when I go home, I know 25% of the people that I'll be passing will be many suffering in silence, without insurance and not knowing what comes next. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. We're going to be fighting like hell. We are going to be making them pay like hell. We are going to be taking names like hell. Because I'm going to tell you something. We are not going to allow these people to destroy families. We are not going to allow people to destroy the health of our fellow Americans. Donald Trump and Paul Rand are playing with the lives of every poor and middle-class American. As MSNBC Ali Velshi explained, the free market simply does not work for health insurance, period. Chuck Todd recently pointed out that the new plan decimates coverage for all, but mostly to the Trump voter. Trump voter. Are you listening, my friend? Like I've been talking to all my folks throughout wherever I write, Daily Coast and everywhere. You guys aren't my enemies, man. We are fighting now, and we better lock hands together and fight this evil that has taken over this country. I know many of you haven't yet seen it, but you know what? Your health care, your life means a hell of a lot more than some individual dude. So folks, call your senators and congressional representatives every day and let them know you do not want the Affordable Care Act repealed. I mean, yes, they passed the bill, but it's not done deal yet. So we have a lot of time to keep letting these people know where we stand. When it's time to get out in the streets, we don't want to burn people out, but there are times that we're going to be out there telling you folks, it is time for us to stand up for our rights. It is time. It is time for us to get busy. It is time for us to get busy. And Charlotte just made a comment here on Facebook Live that I want to tell you guys. I forgot to mention it in the pros that I had here. If it were so good, when Obamacare was passed, all congressmen, the aides, everybody, they also had to be on Obamacare. Guess what? On this Trump care, the House of Representatives exempted themselves from having to be on Trump care. Does that tell you something? Anyhow, folks, telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, that number 713-526-5738. Let's go to línea número uno, line number 1. Come on in, my friend.
Hello there. This is Javier Holguín. Can you hear me?
How you doing? What's your name, sir?
It's Javier Holguín.
Javier,
You
¿cómo
can't see it over
estás?
there?
Muy bien. You said?
Luchando con la vida. Talk to me, my friend.
Okay. So I'm with the Democratic Socialists of America, the Houston area.
Uh-huh.
And we are, I mean, a lot of us here in the community are upset about what's going on. And so we are going to call in an action. We're going to be doing a protest at 2 p.m. on Sunday. If you want to, anybody's willing to join us, they can join us. It'll be at the Fulverson's office. It's 10,000 Memorial Drive here in Houston.
Excellent. Excellent. Repeat that address again.
It's 10,000 Memorial Drive, Houston, Texas, at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And if you need more information, you can find it at HoustonDSA.org or on Facebook or Twitter at Houston DSA.
Excellent.
And
DSA is doing some great work in Houston. I thank you guys for all that your work that you're doing out here.
Oh, I appreciate it, and thank you for letting us use your platform as an outlet. I mean, the progressives need to know in Houston that there's a base growing, there's a community growing, and we're going to protect the people that can't protect themselves.
Absolutely. So we need to have allies, all allies from all sides, all over, because I tell you what, this fight against the plutocracy isn't going to be won by just a few fringe groups. It's going to be won by many of us getting together and really going at the core, the cancer that these guys have become. And until we get there, there's no turning back. So look, thank you very much for what you're doing, Joaquin, right?
Javier.
Javier, look, thank you very much, Javier, for calling in. Is there anything else you want to say real quickly?
No, I want to thank the KPTF community. They're an excellent excellent source of news, and we need more progressive channels in the South, and this is a great outlet.
Thank you so kindly, my friend. You have a wonderful day now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go to línea número
John.
2. John, come on in, John.
Good afternoon, Egberto.
How are you doing, my friend? Great. Talk to me.
This is a sad day for America, really.
Yes,
I never thought that. I did when Trump was elected, but there's been a tremendous awareness of what was actually in the ACA, and we've seen those numbers change dramatically. I mean, it's amazing. And so, we're just going to keep fighting. I mean, as you know, the Senate bill is probably going to look nothing like this House bill. It'll be less extreme. It'll still be bad if it does pass. But, I mean, we just need to keep fighting, keep calling Ted Cruz. We need to think about, taking Ted Cruz out of office. Beto O'Rourke already is tied with him in polling. Joaquin Castro, if he does run, was up by 5 points. So, I mean, I just want to also say that people need to realize that, this bill is actually worse than the original bill because of the essential benefits. There are 11 essential benefits Obamacare that it covers.
John, name some of those, because I think people don't quite, when we use terms like essential benefits, it kind of zoom over people's heads. So explain, because it's simple things. Go ahead and explain a couple of those.
Right. So let me frame it this way. These are things that they can actually be taken out by the state if the state chooses to. And as you know, the state of Texas doesn't have the greatest track record.
Exactly.
We don't have great Medicare expansion. So there is actually a very good chance that many of these things aren't going to be covered. And this is not just for the policies that if it is passed, it was Trump care. This covers everything, every employer.
Right.
So that was outpatient care, emergency care, hospitalization, maternity and newborn care, mental health and substance abuse care, prescription drug care, rehabilitation services and devices, lab services, preventive and wellness services and devices, which is and chronic disease management, which is essentially pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, let me stop you.
Pediatric services.
The reason I want to stop you right there is to explain to folks. They always talk about Obamacare being expensive, and the reason why a lot of these policies are a bit more expensive is because of exactly what John just said. Every policy is required to have these essential benefits. And why? Because if you buy a policy that doesn't have them, yes, the policy can be cheaper, but when you finally go to use it, it is useless, because any one of those essential benefits that are not there can somehow be used by that insurance company to say, because of this, we're not going to cover the bill after all. And people don't get it because it hadn't been explained to them, and we have to fault a lot of times ourselves for not having explained what you just explained a lot of times to folks on Obamacare, because a lot of people just didn't know that. So folks, it is very, very important that you understand what we are looking at with what you saw with the AHCA is laissez-faire insurance that has no real regulations of consequence to ensure that when you need your insurance, it will be there. Go ahead, John.
Well, again, I just want to say that most people say, I get my employees from my employer, and my insurance from the employer. It's not going to affect me. It will affect you. These things are not going to be required anymore. And if the state gets a waiver, they may not cover you for these things.
Exactly.
And, this will have a tremendous impact on people. This is one of the worst bills in my lifetime that has ever passed the House. And it is astounding. All of these groups, I haven't seen one group that let's say like the American Medical Association, which doesn't have a great history, and the hospital organizations. Every single organization is against this bill. Every single one. The only people promoting this bill are the people who want to take money from poor people, who want to take money from the people who need it the most and promote themselves. All the people that you talk about, Heritage Foundation and Club for Growth, and all those people who have been, all they want to do is redistribute wealth to the rich, and that's what this bill is about mostly. It's about redistributing wealth to the rich, taking away insurance from not only the poor and the middle class, but the fact that it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions. If your state gets a waiver, that could also cause major influence, even if you do have money, because it costs so much money.
Yes.
Can you imagine getting cancer, even if you have a lot of money? I saw this thing this morning on television that saying that some of the numbers were like, well, if you have cancer, we'll cover you for $70,000 a year. For $140,000 a year, we'll cover you. Who has that kind of money to do that? Very few people.
Well, you know what, though, John, let me tell you, I got to go to the other caller, but let me just say this specifically to our listening audience. Don't despair. We are going to be out there doing what we need to do to ensure that this does not become law. We will be out there in the field. We will be out there on the phones. This is just one cog, okay, folks? So I mean, I don't want folks to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, "Look, we flooded those lines today. We flooded them." And still they voted against it. Remember, the Republican Party does not work for the average American citizen. They work for the plutocracy. As such, they do not listen to us, period. So, of course, they're going to vote the way they did. The fear is what we have to work on them now. The fear. John, I got to go because Shannon got to get to the traffic and weather. So, look, thank you so kindly for calling, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Good ending point.
Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon. Once again, it's currently 78 degrees, breezy, pleasant, sunny day today. Much cooler today than yesterday, so enjoy that cool front. Clear tonight with a low around 55, sunny Friday with a high near 80. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On 288 outbound at Beltway 8, there's an accident affecting the left and center lane, backing up traffic to Reed. And on the North Sam Houston Tollway westbound, there's a heavy truck accident blocking the exit ramp to the North Freeway. Traffic's backed up to JFK. An accident cleared from the Southwest Freeway. That's right at the West Loop, but traffic remains backed up to Westland. And a few stop-and-go areas around town, including on the Northwest Freeway outbound from West 34th out to around the Fairbanks North Houston area. That's look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Muchísimas gracias, mi amiga. Okay, let's go to line number 3. Gary, come on in, Gary.
Hey, good afternoon.
Talk to me, my friend.
Well, this kind of dovetails in what you just concluded with the previous caller.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading some discussion online from people that are studying authoritarianism, and they were basically concluding that you don't pass something that's this unpopular unless you really don't think you'd have to be concerned about the electorate, or you don't really have to be concerned about free and fair elections. You can basically flaunt the public will if you think the public is irrelevant, and you have a lock through corruption, and you don't, it just goes beyond gerrymandering. Then it really doesn't matter what the public's all upset about. It's just the general creeping authoritarianism that is just another symptom of it.
That is so true, but I want to, how do I want to say this here? What I'd like to say is, it is true that they don't care, the people that passed this vote. So remember, those are 217 guys, right?
Guys.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly guys. It always seems that way. I hate to say it, but it always seems.
I know. Well, the data doesn't lie.
The data doesn't lie. Exactly. Now, let me just say that in as much as that's the case with that particular sect, I don't want us to sit down there and believe that somehow that should stop us from going out there and fighting anyway.
Well, I think it should energize people more.
Thank you. That's what I really prefer to hear.
Oh, sure.
What we want to do is
what is the gall of people that are supposed to represent you that act this way?
Right, and the thing about it is this. The electorate right now is activated, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it is what we want to do is manage that activation through 2018. And
at least.
Well, what I meant by that is I don't want it to grow old and cold before the 2018 election, because what happens then is people get all excited. Then people can.
Well,
here's my
distance run. You can't just sprint all the time. You just gotta get going.
Let me tell you what my concern is. Right, people have a huge tolerance. Let me remind people this is a call-in show, folks. We have lines open 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Lines are open. What I'd like to say is we have to remember, right, that people have very, very high tolerances for pain.
Yes.
And after a while, that tolerance for pain is almost unfelt, and they just live through it and they go back to the status quo. Meaning, a lot of times what happens is if you give people a shock early on, right? Early on in, let's say, an administration, and then after the first and second year, things kind of get not smooth out, but people kind of get complacent. And they no longer feel the urgency to go out there and vote. They no longer feel that urgency to participate. They no longer feel that urgency that says it is a must that I activate, and I activate now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And
yeah, I understand.
And
sure,
that
I
is,
think the amount of things happening, just the quantity of stuff that's going on.
And that is by design as well. Management by chaos.
Yeah.
When you have management by chaos, what happens then is there are so many things people are having to concern themselves about now. They have to concern themselves about healthcare. They have to concern themselves about, is this crazy guy going to start another war?
Yep.
They have to concern themselves about, is he going to destroy my water supply? Is he going to, there is
so
much. So much. But anyhow, thank you so kindly,
okay.
Gary.
If we don't fight, we don't win. So we got to keep fighting.
You go, my friend. Thank you so kindly
Thanks
for the
show.
call. You have a great day, sir.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to line number 4 with John. Come on in, John.
Good afternoon, Egberto.
Hey, John, talk to me, my friend.
I got to be honest. Is that all you have is fear?
No, it's not fear, but actually, you know what I'd like you to do for me, John?
Sure.
Since I know what side of the aisle you're from, I want you to give me a defense. I don't want you to do fear. I want you to give me a defense of that bill.
Oh, I'm not. I'm actually wasn't necessarily calling on that, but I don't think the bill should be there in the first place. But I don't think the ACA should have been passed either. So,
right.
Regardless, I consider them both equally offensive to me. One was much worse than the other, in my opinion. But that's because I'm a believer in free market.
Right,
So,
I know that. I know you believe in free markets. And you know what? It is okay for you to believe in free markets. And I think you have a right to believe in free markets. The thing about it is, what do most people want? And number 2, you have to listen to somebody like Ali Velshi, who has already proven not only by reality, but that free markets work great in a lot of industries, but free market simply doesn't work in healthcare. No industrialized country has ever been successful in getting free markets to work in healthcare. None. And the reason why is simple. It's not even like we think there may be a reason why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because healthcare does not lend itself. When you get sick, John, if you get in a wreck, we don't have time to shop around and all that kind of stuff. We don't. You see what I'm saying?
right, but my problem is in both of these laws, like I said, they built them on a fabric of health insurance.
Yes.
Okay? Well, if you have no pre-existing condition, if you cannot, not cover pre-existing condition, then it's not insurance. You don't actually have to buy it until you actually need it.
So then you just agreed with me. You just agreed with me.
What I'm telling you is the whole premise of the ACA and the AHCA are they're not compatible. Neither one of them are.
Right.
Now, do I believe they're the free market solution? Yes. Do I believe that you rip half of a box from one side and half of a box from the other and jam them together and hope it works? No, but that's what they did.
Okay. John.
In my opinion.
Okay, and that's fine. And the reason I like you is you specifically said in your opinion, and that's a good thing. Okay.
Well, it is, but what I will say is this, and why I called. I was listening to your opening monologue, blog of the week.
Yeah.
And I was curious because you know me, I like to drill down to facts and try and figure out. I think you stated that 24 million people are going to lose health insurance.
Yes, that's a fact. Yeah.
Okay. How many people have gained health insurance?
20-something million altogether.
Okay, so now we're basically going to get rid of everyone, is what your opening statement would lead someone listening to believe.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
But John, look.
You know for a fact as well as I do that some people under the ACA coverage buying on the exchanges already had insurance, but had to rebuy after it was lost.
I'm going to explain that another time, but you're correct in what you just said, John. Let me explain another time because I'm starting to run on time here and my switchboard is full. But we'll keep talking and you keep calling and you keep listening, okay, brother?
Bye, Egberto. Have a great day.
You too, John. All right, let's go with 6, Mia. Line number 6. Mia, come on in.
Hi, Egberto.
Hey, great. Look, how are you doing today, first of all?
Busy. How are you?
Great. Well, let me tell you why I'm glad that you called in, first of all, because I mentioned you earlier on in the show what we're going to talk about, and that was a quick thing on the following. The moms versus Goliath. And what I mean by that is that there's something special happening in Humble, Texas, in Atascocita, in Kingwood, and all these places where you have a group of parents that got together and decided you wanted to make a change to the school board because they weren't serving your purposes. How is that going right now? And tell us a little bit about what you would like to hear from people or have people do.
Okay, well, we would like people to come out and vote on Saturday, May 6th, from between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for our candidates, Abby Whitmire, Bob Rehat, Christopher Heron, and Dr. Lohit Dadabarua. As you mentioned, I started a Facebook group called Humble ISD Parents about a year ago. We're currently over 4,300 members. We initially started as a forum to discuss all school district-related issues, and it grew into concerns from there. We got established when the board named Dr. Elizabeth Fagan as lone finalist for our school board for superintendent. And, when they made that announcement, the parents at the district she was serving at warned us in the masses of what could happen and what she had done to their district. So we had been listening and researching, and we had questions of our own that we wanted answered. So we formed, and demanded our questions be answered. And the way that our school board treated us during those first days and first months was just reprehensible. They ignored our concerns. They called us names. They said we were a small segment of angry moms. Well, we have dads too in our group, but we were the stakeholders in the district, and they basically ignored us and hired her anyways. Each of our school board members, they publicly stated that they stood by their decision even after listening to everything they could listen to, and they hired her anyway. So since they hired Dr. Elizabeth Fagan, we felt like we're feeling we've had lies. Mm-hmm. She said that she wasn't going to bring any staff from Douglas County. She's since brought over multiple people that she worked with in Douglas County and the district before. They've hand-selected a dream team and spent over $89,000 in taxpayer money to bring over Ken Kay, who helped develop a portrait of a graduate.
So let me ask you something, Mia. I think you're saying that even though it was promised that they would bring her over here and then maybe she hire a staff from people in this area, instead, what you saw is her rebuilding her team from places where they were going to pass policies that our Humble ISD parents do not support.
Well, Dr. Fagan is known for being very big supporters of vouchers and school choice. And one of the things that Douglas County parents would warn us about is that she was going to bring her team with her that supported those same stances. Now, they said no, they would not bring them over. There were no open positions. They would not create positions. And if there was a position open, then they wouldn't fill them in. Well, she's since brought over her attorney, her curriculum person, and she's hired multiple consultants that she hires there in Douglas County as well. We now have a position opening up as our assistant superintendent is now the lone finalist in another district. So that position's opening up, and we're really concerned about who's going to fill it and where they're going to come from.
So now you need to make sure that good people get on the board.
Yeah. And not only that, another one of we have 4 members up. We have 4 positions coming up and for re-election. And right after the deadline to file passed, another one of our board members submitted his resignation, which effectively it leaves us another open position that can be filled by the board if decided, or by election.
Right.
So this is stuff that, he could have, if he would have quit or resigned sooner, he could have saved our district thousands of dollars But this, to us, seems very strategic to keep control over the board.
We understand that is exactly what they're trying to do, and it is clear that was a special move, because from what I understand, that particular board of director knew he was leaving from February or before, and still
correct.
waited to go ahead and submit his
Waited
resignation
until it was too late to put his position on the ballot so we could vote.
I got to go ahead.
I'm sorry. We feel we need a new board that will, board members we select in should be able to restore the trust, transparency, and communication in our district, because we are facing almost $1 billion bond election coming up. We've got curriculum changes we have to worry about. Not only Heath Rushing's position that needs to be filled, we need to make sure that they'll do that in a way that represents the whole community and not a hand-picked segment. We've got, and we have a very fast-growing district, so we need to get board members that we can trust through this to lead us through it.
Mia, so go ahead and tell the Humble area what you want them to do.
I would like everybody who's registered to vote to come out on May 6th and vote for Abby Whitmire, Bob Rehack, Christopher Heron, and Dr. Lohit Dadabarula, so that we can get our district and put the trust back in trustee.
Thank you very much, Mia. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for calling in, okay?
Thank you, Egberto.
We
Bye-bye.
do our civic duty. Okay, real quickly, let's go to line number 3 for Monica. Monica, come on in.
Hi, Egberto.
How are you doing, Monica?
Good, thank you. Hey, listen, with regard to this healthcare issue, I think what we don't want to lose sight of is that we don't just want a resumption of or a continuation of Obamacare, a.k.a. the Affordable Health Care Act. What we want is Medicare for all.
I agree with you 100%, Monica. Let me tell you the way I see it, and you tell me if you can agree with this. We first have to protect what we have to ensure that we don't hurt our fellow Americans that are currently covered, but knowing that we must move forward. But if we take a recessive move, that makes it that much harder to even get back to the talk of HR 676 or anything like that.
I understand and I agree. And, I think we just need to be out there and keep beating the drums for Medicare for all.
I'm with you, Monica.
And defeating any of these bills that are going to try to displace the Affordable Care Act.
Monica, from your mouth to my ears to the rest of the Houston area to throughout the country, you're absolutely right. Okay?
Okay. Thank you
have
so
a
much
wonderful,
for what you do.
Thank you so kindly, Monica. Now we have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon. Once again, is currently 78 degrees, breezy, pleasant, sunny day. Might have a few wind gusts here and there, but not too bad. Much cooler today than yesterday because of that cool front that blew in last night, and I know you know the one I'm talking about. It was quite a violent storm, but luckily it brought in a little bit of a treat. And clear tonight, low of around 55 degrees, sunny Friday with a high near 80. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On 288 outbound at Beltway 8, there's still an accident affecting the left and center lanes. That's backing up traffic to the South Loop. And a few other slow-going areas around town, including on the Katy Freeway outbound from around Gregg out to, it looks like it's close to Blaylock area, and slow going on the Southwest Freeway outbound from Whitman out to Chimney Rock, and you're tapping on those brakes on the North Freeway outbound from Cavalcade out to West. That's your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. Back to you, Egberto.
Thank you very much. Let's go to line number 2 with Barry. Come on in, Barry.
Look who's here, the most bleeding heart liberal on KPFT.
Hey, talk to me, my brother. Talk to me.
God bless America. God save the 45th. These are the halcyon days of history's greatest empire, and you know the very best is still yet to come. Way to go, Republican Party, knocking out what could be the horrific first rung of government health care on the road to socialism, enjoying the soup kitchen in Venezuela, Argentina, and Brazil. And 2, there can be no redistribution of money from the poor to the rich because the poor people have no money. What an insight.
Wow.
And do you know that the innovations, the cures for diseases do not come from socialistic countries? They come from free market paradises like America.
Okay, now let me. Now that you've given your monologue, I'm
A
gonna
monologue.
just
It's only 30 seconds, dude.
yeah, let me just give you one factoid that you show that you don't know, my good friend, and that is one. Most of our drugs, they are actually developed by grants from the NIH. Okay, so that is in America. Yes.
Exactly.
So in other words, it's done by the government. Oh, it's
No.
socialism.
The NIH does a joint grant program. They don't provide the whole money. Some of the money comes from the Koch brothers. Maybe the Koch brothers do $500 billion a year in research too.
Okay.
So it's all the NIH.
John, I gave you your time. I mean, now hear me, John. Barry, got to go to the next call because we're almost
John,
over.
wait a
We're
minute,
full.
you call me John?
I'm sorry, Barry. You have a great one,
You're
Barry.
not really sorry. You're going to okay.
Have a great one, buddy. All right, let's go to number one. Nancy, come on in, Nancy.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to tell everybody, the HR 676.
Yes.
What Monica was talking about.
Yes.
Medicare for all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's wonderful, and it's going to include the undocumented. It says all quote residents unquote. It'll increase the income tax of the 99 percenters by 3%.
Mm-hmm.
It will increase the 1%ers, the very rich, by 13. That's 13%.
Oh yeah, it's paid for. Yeah, it's paid for. I mean, the 676 is a very complete bill. I've read it before. So I mean, look.
Okay, well let me give you some more information.
Well, actually, I don't have the time to do that because we have a full
Okay,
thing
if
here.
you would just let me talk a little bit more, I will be very quick. I just got an update from Healthcare Now. It's now the signatures. It was a dismal 47 signatures 2 years ago. Last year, 63.
Thank
now,
you.
104.
I love it, Nancy. So look, you keep putting that information out there, my friend. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a good one now. All right, let's go to line number 4. Alex, come on in, Alex. Line number 4. Come on in, Alex.
Hey, well, I had something else to say, but now I got to respond to that.
Yes.
If you're going to be down on the backs of undocumented workers and illegal immigrants not paying their fair share or whatever, you've got to recognize how much their labor is exploited and how much of what we gain from them just being here in the first place never reaches their table.
We know
and
that.
I think,
yeah.
And I think I know you probably know that, but I'm just referring to your last caller who seems to be up at arms about an increase for lower middle class.
What she did say is that undocumented workers would be covered under HR 676.
Okay, well, it seemed like she was talking about there being an tax increase on the 99% and that being...
Oh, no, the 99% will pay. Everybody pays into 676 that have a wage. I mean, it's something like a social security tax or something like that, which I think it's a good thing. We all form part of it. But what we do get is we don't pay premiums anymore. It comes out of the general fund. So, I mean, it's wonderful the way it works. It's the only sensible solution that we have, my friend. In my opinion, that is. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, well, that's just unless... I mean, I'm just a little... tell people to wait till 2018 to rally and get things done. I don't think liberal democracy is really working for anyone anymore. I mean, it's evident in all the revelations about how undemocratic the Democratic Party was with its opposition candidate, Bernie Sanders. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Bernie Sanders supporter, but the way that that party encouraged demonization of Bernie Sanders supporters and wrote them off as all college-age white students, which is not true. I just don't see how anyone could get behind liberal democracy supporting either the Democrats or Republicans. I mean, what's one of the first things that Obama did when he got in office was bail out the banks in the middle of a housing crisis.
I hear you. And
it's a class component.
Look,
you got to think about class. Who's the working class and who are the rich?
Alex,
that's where you got to start your analysis.
Alex, I got to go, and what you're saying makes sense. Let me tell you this. I'll be doing Jeff's show tomorrow. Call back into that show early. We can continue this talk, okay?
Sure.
All right, let's go to number 3, Johnny. Johnny, I only got 30 seconds for you, man. Johnny, come on in.
Yeah, well, I'm a Green Party voter, and I support the Green Party. I'm not opposed to occasionally voting for a Democrat who is not actually a Republican in secret. So we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, number one. Number two, don't forget, let's remind these people that call in who are hostile towards the ACA or Obamacare is that in 2015, Republican from Florida, Marco Rubio, and a bunch of Republicans and a few idiot Democrats went along with this idea of defunding, I think 70% or more of federal funds towards what they called those zones,
right,
high-risk zones.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's a big cut in the effectiveness of ACA. So if you want to kill Obamacare, there's lots of ways to do it, and they've already been successful at really making it ineffective. So this vote, however it turns out, is basically meaningless. The damage is already done, and now it's time to get out in the streets and get physical with some of these people.
Not physical, but we get out there.
Oh, by the way, Hillary Clinton herself admitted that capitalism has to be fixed every once in a while by, guess what? Socialism.
There you go. Thank you very much, Johnny. You keep on calling. You keep on listening, brother. Okay, let's go to line number 5. Jimbo.
Hey, Egberto. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
Kind of piggybacking on about this latest voting coming up here. I live in Harris County, so we got this Prop 1, and I was very disappointed. I'm usually a very early voter.
Right.
I didn't even know this was coming up until I heard on the Day Show when Jolanda Jones was there.
Right.
Listening to Councilman Martin, who was stressing voting. And quite frankly, the research that I've done on it, I don't know which way to go.
You know, I let me tell you this. I don't vote in that election. I listened to what Jolanda had to say. I had Jolanda in the studio here talking about it as well, and she tells people that she think they should vote no, and she gave a reason as far as it is more advantageous for inner city kids if they voted no. I'll be honest with you, I don't have the qualifications to really understand all the intricacies of that vote, so that's the reason I don't come out and give my opinion on it.
I can appreciate that, and all the research that I have done is all from HISD, and they're looking for a yes vote, and trying to go between these credits and stuff like that, and having parts of certain properties, of commercial properties, their tax dollars going to Aldine if we shut it down. So very confusing, and this is a large portion of our taxes that we pay, and with it not being even advertised on
Jimbo,
I thought was very, very...
Jimbo, I got to go, but because we're at Harvard, thank you for calling. Let me take my last caller, line number 2.
You turn down the phone.
Anthony, can you hear me?
Anthony, turn down your stuff because your feedback in.
Sorry, I was calling on the full car switch. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I wanted to respond to Jim's response about how no socialist countries ever come up with any innovative cures for anything.
I couldn't understand, sir.
Cuba has released a cure for cancer, lung cancer.
Right.
And what that told me is simply eliminate the free market capitalist system for healthcare. We don't make cures anymore. We make treatment because it's a lot more profitable.
Right. Anthony, you're gonna have to call me back tomorrow at 3 o'clock when I do Jeff's show because we're at a hard break. By the way, Cuba has a very good healthcare system. It proves that capitalism isn't the only solution we have for healthcare. Folks, thank you so kindly for spending this time with me here at KPFT on Politics Done Right with Egberto Willis. You guys have a wonderful day, and right now I am
Thank you very
out.
much for listening to Politics. Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.